Would also be a flex pick for T1. Zeus has actually still plays it top, even though it isn't that popular anymore. Definitely one of his comfort champions. And yeah, the Kai'Sa for me is the other big one, because I think that Gala individually and the Kai'Sa looked great. I don't think he was the problem in that game. No. I think it was more so the fact he was playing into a lane that relied on Hung hitting blitzcrank hooks, but didn't happen. And then come mid-game, like, what was he going to do with his team already being so far behind?
I think we didn't really get to see most of their composition work at all, because they fell so far behind in the early to mid-game that even if Kai'Sa had been able to do something, it just wouldn't have been impactful with the gold.
ストリームアバターズのポイントは視聴時間に応じてもらえるのかな、確か。You can wait for your point. そしてエイトロックス先出し、さっきも先出しエイトロックスで後出しのクエンをダンクを受けながらソロキルしたゼウス。そしてジェイス最近はずっとミッドで使われますね。トップでは使われません。マオカイとジェイスは今後ピックとして有名。マオカイの CC が当たったところにジェイスの、フルダメージを叩き込んでいく。同じマッチアップやりますか、LNG。エイトロックス対グエン。グエンさっき負けたので0勝4敗になりました。サイラス、去年のワールズではマオカイ、最強のジャングルマオカイに対してカウンターのサイラス出てました。AT、フル AT のサイラスがマオカイのウルトを取るとダメージも出るし CC も強いということで、最強だったマオカイの勝率が対サイラスになった途端ガクッと落ちてましたね。
But a lot of games are decided before that.
T1 はカイサの一番。
Could have maybe provided more of a counterweight.
ケイトリンと何をバーするんですか。セナ。
Orianna kind of Azir matchups, whereas instead now we have this Jace Sylas, a much more explosive, potentially much more volatile mid lane matchup. Scout said in his interview with Lore back in Swiss, like, hey, I don't feel like mid lane has a lot of agency right now to carry the game.
確かに LNG はレナード取ることはできない。サイラスがいるから。
I think Faker, most people would not have expecting him to get the better of Scout in the 1v1, and in that first game, Faker absolutely did. This time, Scout is going to have the agency in the early levels on the Jace to try to push in, to try to punish this Sylas, and it is going to be the Varus, which I always think, is nice in some of these early situations because it is really flexible. You can go AP, you can go on hit, you can go lethality. There's lots of different angles here. I do think they need some consistency CS, so I would expect it to be either AP or just purely on hit. But knowing Kuma, would you say Kuma to be AP?
単純にブルドウ性能自体強すぎなので、フェイカーさんもサイラスも本当にうまいですよ。本当にうまい。大きいです。そしてバルス、先出しに対してアフィリオス、ラカン。これトポチャンピオンのバルス 1T いられるのか。ラカンも避けられないし。
This is
カリスタサポート。アッシュサポート。ケイターさんは使えないチャンピオンいません。神です。アッシュサポート。マジか。1年前だっけな。マークスマンサポート出てきたことがありましたけれども、サポートアイテムの調整か何かでマークスマンサポートが弱体化したのか、ハラス系 AD サポートアイテムがナーフされた覚えがありますよ。レイジャーの鎌か、あれがナーフされてずっと出てきてなかったんですけれども、アッシュサポートですか。いや、運用は簡単ではないと思いますよ。一回ミスしただけでゲームが崩れてしまいますからね。
from Owner on
何
the
か
well
バル
as
スを
well.
守れ
So
る
I
よう
do
な
think
キッ
there's
ク
gonna
な
be
の
a
か
lot
な
of
と
pressure
思
already
っ
here
たん
on
ですけ
how
ど、
Gala
探
and
検地と
Mom
か
are gonna be able to actually work this.
And this was specifically a type of pairings where T1 looked monstrously far
これ
ahead of
連戦
everyone
勝たないと
else during the spring
いけませんよ、
meta,
アッ
right?
シュ
When
バ
it
ル
was
ス。
all about, and we saw like Caitlyn support,
Yep.
Varus,
普通にやってたら
we basically saw everything. Yeah,
ナカンとかマオカに捕まって 死にます。
Or the best, depending on if you enjoyed those
これ
supports.
T1 集団戦難しそう。
Yeah.
It was every single game, right? Every single game you heal level 1 just to get prio of the wave, and then from that point on the game becomes very unfun to play for the opponents.
今のタムケンチはセナの隣じゃないとサポートとしては難しいか。
Clearly gonna be going all in for that
でも
early
アッシュの
trial
隣に
in
タム
that
ケンチ出て
first
たし
couple levels
やれ
here,
そうだけどな。
trying to chunk down Hong.
バルズ
who's been
タムケンチか
spotted
何
and
かかなと思
Two
ったんですけ
slows
ど、
already coming through. The stun gonna connect. The abduct forcing out the
ラ
double stun
カン
coming
レ
from
ベル
Hong.
1ダブル
Now walking
取ら
away.
されま
That's
し
the
た。
heal you mentioned at level 1. A little sooner than we expected, Chronicler, but just trying to zone the Rakan away.
Yeah, I think they thought they might be able to actually get all the way in to force out a summoner. Unfortunately, the heal does get kind of wasted there, so I think that removes a lot of the advantage they had from that initial attack. You can also see Gala, knowing how hard this lane is going to be, he's on Boots 4 pot, so this is about as defensive as a start as you can get, trying to have the sustain to survive, and trying to have the ability to sidestep and avoid a lot of this damage.
バルスはロングソードを詰め替えポーション。わあ、ボットレーン2人ともヘイルブレード。
His laning phase that used to be one of his weak points has gotten way stronger than it used to be is because if you hit your Gleaming Quail, you can tank so much of the damage, but now you're basically not going to be able to contest this early game at all. And Keria and Guma, that's right where they want to be.
So frustrating to play against this volley. Halo Blades now procced.
あ、そっか、ヘイルブレードもナーフされたんだ、そういえば。そのマークスマンサポートができた頃に。
You can earn exclusive Worlds 2023 drops, linking your Riot account on LoL esports.
それでパワーがすごい落ちて使われなくなったんですけど。
Just like Varus is getting in there right now
出
because
てきますね。確かに低レベル時のヘイルブレード、完全な大きいルーンなので。
towards the top side of the map. So there's two options. Either T1 need to get the wave in
オー
before
トア
there's
タ
an
ックって
opportunity
威
to
力
set up some tribers
60とか70ある対象指定スキルですから、
Looks like that's not going to be the case though. They made the
それを
read and
3
Owner
回
now
受け
can
ると
invade towards top side or look for a gank from Scout.
270ダメージとか、あ、210ダメージとか出る。レベル1のスキルって大体100ダメージ出ないぐらいなんですけど。
And that hawk shot, I do believe actually spotted them. Yeah, you can see the
ヘイル
pings
ブレード
over
の
on
ついたオ
Tarzan
ートア
there.
タック
So
は
that's the angle. When
そ
you
の
get the
基
push
準を
here,
はる
so
かに
easy
超
to
えた
get
ダ
that
メージ
perfect
が出
angle
るの
on
で、
Ash to be able to spot out all of these bot side camps and even
低
some of
レ
the
ベ
top
ル
side
時
camps.
本当に強
And
い
you
で
can
す。
see the damage already being done. This is going to be the first waves crashing in at 3 minutes, and they're likely going to get a plate right now.
They're going to get a plate. Owner's very likely to reset and then be able to take his entire bottom side jungle while his bot lane has
3連同時視聴です。これがこのカメラワーク結構好きなんですよ。
This is a clean
全
early
部
game
見
for
れて
T1
嬉
thus
しいな。
far.
I also think there's a potential double scuttle angle. I think he can do the top side scuttle. He has so much prio on bot side. You can't really contest for that scuttle. So it could be invade, 2 camps taken away, and Scout maybe
Instead, the
even.
gank looking to force. Stun comes out on the shattering strike.
ジ
A bit of
ェイス
force.
のフラッシュを使わせてい
Yeah,
く。
that was necessary from Scout. If he does not early flash there, he's going to get Q flash. He's going to get flinged in. I think he's dead.
Oh, they do spot Tarzan. We'll see if Owner wants to contest here. Zika does have early prio towards the top side, so this does deny the double scuttle. And that's a big win for
もうこれ
LNG.
で上
Allows
側で
Tarzan
レル
to
が下側のカニを
actually
食べに行きますね。
maintain some
ほら
parity
T1 は
right
ボッ
from
ト
far.
だ
I think
な。
that's the cost of the attempted gank, right?
ずっ
Because
と
he
見ない
could
と
have
いけないぞ。
just stayed and taken that scuttle on spawn, but instead he does elect to actually go for this. And Tarzan now is hoping that, hey, our Raptors
負け
up
た
can
らお
actually
しまい
wait
だか
for
ら
this.
な。
He goes and looks, but Raptors are not there. So there's nothing really for him to take. The scuttle's being taken on bot side by Owner, and now he can clear back
でも
into
ボッ
his
トレー
bot
ンの
side, take those
ADC の
free
ビル
camps,
ドの
to
金
even
銭
look
効
up
率は
towards
熊石が圧倒
the
してます
Krugs
よ。
respawn, and you can see the T1 pings
ポー
on
ション
their
4
own
つ
Krugs,
ア
and
フ
they're
レス
saying,
買っ
hey,
てるけど
watch out
2
Zeus,
着ゴールド
because this is the one
つい
place
て
that
なくなり
Tarzan
ま
could
すから
look for a
ね。
gank right now. If he's up by my Krugs, he could be looking for a gank in behind.
Will now get spotted there with the sapling going
熊
up
石は
towards
冷
him.
たい
See
ポー
the
ションだ
pings.
からずっと
T1 again
リ
is
コールする
aware.
たびに使えるし売却もできるけど、しかもロングソードスタートだからコアアイテムも早いです。
Double cookies as well as a
でも靴買うしかないか。
potion for the
靴買わない
Varus.
と。
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Faker losing the sustain war. He has a
デーニング
recall
でき
yet.
ない。
Scout has, of course, already used his TP back to
Tarzan.
lane. Potential window here to try to capitalize on. Faker still has the flash available.
さらばフェイカー。
Healing as well. Can he find a target?
フラッシュか。
He's going to flash back under the tower. Shot blast there. Faker making it out to safety. Scout now looking to follow up the healing now coming in, trying to find the one for one.
惜しい
Scout will stand strong.
惜しい
Getting the kill on a Faker in the mid lane.
That's huge for
え
LNG.
クリムゾ
A
ンさん
mistake from
どうもで
Faker.
す
Steps back.
こん
He
に
had
ちは
evaded the gank. He had
T1
gotten
対
away, but he wanted
LNG
to
やっ
greet
てま
out
す
for it. Owner though does spawn
えこれ
Scout.
いいが
Mounted up.
Yeah,
The sap
本当に
point gonna
惜しか
slow
っ
him
た
down
なこ
enough.
れ
The Scout can't escape. TP now coming in though. Faker most likely just gonna catch the wave here. Do they want to commit
で
for
も
anything
ちょ
else?
っとサイラスのウェーブが焼けてしまっ
Scout
た
had already committed his TP prior to that play, so now that there's that big delay, he's
え
going
マオ
to
カ
lose
が上側に
likely
い
a
るの
full
が分かっ
wave
てい
as
るの
Faker's
で
going to be able to
ドラゴン
bounce
触
and
って
push
き
this
ます
back
ね
in. And T1 know they
素
have
晴ら
full
しいです
prio for this
この湧
dragon
いたら
here,
す
so
ぐ
they're
に
going to be able
狩
to
る
start this up. There's no way Jace can join.
Really important that the gank works out though there, because Tarzan was like level 3 when that started off, and if that play doesn't end up working out, they fall behind very much
アッシュ
now.
これでリコー
Able
ル
to
ですね
get Scout
リコール
ahead
です
early as we see the gank come through here again.
と
Yeah,
こ
not
こ
much
は
to this, honestly. Nice E here from Faker. Buys a little bit of space. The
い
shot clock
い
does
フラッシュ
connect,
で
but then
避
the
け
flash
て
out. And it's just greed. He goes back in, wants to see if he could get some XP or get some of those minions. Does give over the first blood,
い
but
や
again,
いいで
look
出
at
せ
the
ず
gold. It's T1 up gold. When it's 6 minutes, you have a first blood.
惜しい
That is a massive difference they have actually overcome just through farm and through the play already on bot side. You can see, look at Gala's position. You know, he had to buy those 4 pots early on, had to use them all in that first kind of cycle of laning phase. And now on the other side, you've got some early lethality picked up. You've got tier 2 boots early on here from Carrier, which is one of the really nice advantages about actually playing these ranged supports
ド
here.
ットレーム
Is that
か
it's
な
so
り
easy to
CS
farm
の有
gold
利取れ
compared
て
to
ま
a
すよ
relic
リ
shield.
レ
You
ー
get
部
so
分
much more gold
下
as
がり
long
ま
as you
す
have access to these autos and to actually hitting in on that. So great early buys for T1's bottom lane.
Certainly, and I think it's frustrating too because the gold lead is actually bigger than implied because you've already spent 200 gold on pots in the case of Gala. You've already lost so much gold just going for consumables. Guma has the refillable, not losing nearly as much, and this is going to be frustrating as they go further into the lane. Boots 2 going to make it safer, but meanwhile in the mid lane, Tarzan in the area, but again, the hawk shots coming through.
Yeah, also the ward there in the pixel brush actually spotting him, and it doesn't look like LNG are aware of that. So ward's going to remain there and continue giving information over. I do think that T1 specifically have already been on good track with this, but especially with these double AD carry comps, which if you haven't watched in spring, used to be all the rage. It's really important you start stacking the dragons early. I do think it's a type of comp where once you lose control, you're in trouble, but if you
Barzal,
don't...
massive damage! The
いや
escape
ギリギリ
barely
1の
coming
コロ
through
ナか
there.
That was really close, and yeah, I agree.
Barzal
You have to really
笑わない
stay ahead because as much as you can kind of really
確かに
deal a
T1 ら
lot
しいピ
of
ックです
punishment to these bottom lanes, all of a sudden,
アッシュ
Rakan
サ
hits
ポー
6
ト
and the jungler shows up and you get flashed on and you're both dead. Well, there goes your lead, right? So you do have to pay respect to that, but look at Carrier. He was wrapping around, wanted to zone Gala off, so it's going to be at least one more play going T1's way. It's going to be not only pushing Hong back and almost killing him, it's now a nearly 20 CS lead because of the CS being denied from Gala. His buys are going to be horrible, and there's going to be so much pressure now on the soul lanes.
Barely avoiding the tiny little kitty cats.
But Owner didn't know that they didn't know, so he has to back off because
グエン
Zigga's
が今ワー
making
ドを置いてくれたので
And the
ラ
game
ウンド1に行きま
over.
す
They won. The bluff was successful, unintentionally so.
相
but
手に
working
バレてるのも
nonetheless.
動
Owner's
き
now
で
gonna
わかり
back
ますね
away. The one strong point of the map right now is Zik on the top side, winning out in isolation. 83 CS to 69 now as Aatrox, you know, gonna catch a couple here under the tower. But
いやこれ
weren't
お
able to
互い に
leverage his
ヘラ
strength
ードで
the
ファイ
previous
ト
game.
に
Went
なる
off
の
pretty
か
quickly.
これ
Have to
は
imagine that he's learned from those mistakes.
とトレーナー全員
Sometimes the
トップ
players
が
are
来
just
て
too
ま
good
すよ
for their own good, you know? If you just weren't looking at the mini-map, you could have just stayed on the blue buff and taken it. Wouldn't even known that Sicko was missing.
suffering from success, man.
Exactly.
And we do now see this Herald being started up. T1 100% want to go in on this. Carrier doesn't hit 6 just yet, though. Won't have the arrow available. A lot of poke coming down from
ジェイスの
Scout.
ポークで
This
アッ
is
シ
a
ュに
must
ハラ
win
スし
for
ていく
T1. Zeus isn't here yet.
Have to be careful about grouping up in the choke. Gala does have 6 and ultimate. Guma waiting over the wall. 1 second left on the chain of corruption. Has it now.
Health bars are already pretty low here for
2連
T1.
目が続きます
Tarzan,
な
he wants to get a really good angle for the Maokai ult. He's trying to set it up because Hong doesn't have 6, so he needs to be the one to start off that engage. They were hoping that T1 would overcommit in, use the Maokai ult to be able to set up that engage here from Hong. But it is going to be Gala basing, so LNG looking like they're going to bail out of this and just head him down towards bot, because if you look at the map, it's a big wave that's actually crashing. And
いやー
even with Gala leaving, I think he's going to be too late, unfortunately, to get most of that. That wave's likely going to bounce, so T1's kind of going to win out on both sides, I
ずっ
think.
とヘラル
T1
ドが
doesn't know
殴られ
this
て
yet,
ます
though, so
ちょ
they're
っと
not
かわい
committing
そう
fully to the play, especially because with Tarzan and Zika still posturing this aggressively, T1 haven't really caught on. So we do now start see the pings
これ
go
アヘオさん
down
ポッ
on
ト
the
行きま
bot
した
side
ね
turret as well.
いやこれボットレーンお互いにウェーブ真ん中で止まってたはずなんですけど、ミニオンのランダム要素で T1 側のプッシュになってアフェラスが CS たくさん食べました。あれはもう完全に運なのでどうしようもない。
But it's going to be potentially about this counterpunch around bot lane. If you look at where the Rakan and the Maokai are, they are here waiting to catch the T1 bot lane as they do
ヘラルドを捨て
return.
る間にアフロスにプレートが2枚入るか。これアフロス今から死ぬか。ちょっとやりきれるか微妙。やりきれません。お互いミッドがボットに TP します。アフロスプレート2枚取れたのでかすぎる。これヘラルド取られたけど LNG 全然いいぞ。マオカイのフラッシュです。これドラゴンを取れませんね。LNG このドラゴンのおかげでようやく T 版トレード有利になりますか。ヘラルド分はアフロスがゴールド回収できたので悪くないトレードでしたけれども、マオカイのフラッシュがなくなりドラゴンも取れた。素晴らしいですよ。
And this side lane has just been mostly kind of left alone. Zika and Zeus been battling back and forth. It's basically dead. Even a couple CS to separate
お互いにうますぎてわーしか言えないのは気持ちわかります。
Step forward, the combo coming through the abduction of the kitty cats once again forcing out the flash. The snare will connect. There is no follow up there. Instead, the herald immediately going to get dropped. T1 now can grab 2 plates here.
ストレンジ
Flash in though. Owner's not happy with just 2 plates. Scout now going to be in trouble. But they can't quite find the
フラッシュがないジェイスに
After the first tower dive, he will find the kill on the scout as the herald crashes.
It's a great dive from T1 owner. No
だいぶでき
hesitation.
るんですね。マオカイいるけど関係なしと。
Trying to block out Faker, keep him from following up. Faker still had the flash, so he flashes in.
これだいぶできるんですか。
And they get the plates with the crash.
Now stepping in. The flash away. The flash
中うまい
slows big.
フラッシュで
Locked down.
足の上と避けていく。
Chains corruption going wide. He will not be able to get anything back. Crucial kill over to Gala.
フェンターさん大活躍してますわ。
able to find his way
そ
towards
して
that
ボッ
bot
ト
lane.
にグエンが行ったのでバルスがやられたけどトップレーンがタワー。
It will be
プレート食べられてます。
inside, but I'm pretty sure Zika also should be able to get some here towards the bot lane.
And you can see how many summoners that actually cost T1. Guma went with the early cleanse, but Kyria used both his summoners as well in that retreat.
フラッシュもまだもないジェイスに
That earlier dive, Tarzan again.
このフラッシュイン
Faker off as best he can.
わからないんですよ。反応できませんわ。分かってても避けられないし。
Owner was tanking the tower on the other side. Really well played from the T1 jungler, setting Faker up. And again, it's another good start here from Faker. Was incredible on the Orianna. And he's kind of been set up for success. There's multiple good ultis for him to steal. It's not
メル
just
ジャングル
I do think
ジャングルクリアスピードが
also really, really
かなり
powerful.
バフされたパッチになっ
So he
て
could
そ
have
れ
another
か
good
ら
one here.
What I do think is
それ
important
からは
though, when you
1
look
回
at
ナ
the
ーフされてますけどまだ
LNG, they are
プロシーンで
somewhat
出てき
behind
ますね。
500-600 gold, but Cloud Drake isn't the type of Drake where I
まあ
think
他の
if
セ
this
ジャ
was
ニ
an
とか
Inferno
マオ
like
カイ
last
が
game, you'd be looking at it very differently.
かなり
But
ナーフ
T1
された
does
後な
need
の
to
で
maintain control of this map because once you lose it and you start to actually front to back against
その
Aphelios, Maokai, Gwen,
それらの
and
チャンプと比
Rakan,
べる
you're
と
gonna be in deep
パワー
trouble.
はあり
Well,
ま
so
す。
much of it is
レ
going to
ベ
be
ル
about the early poke. You know, how much poke can Guma get down? You know, Gala is really behind the curve, so if he's actually getting poked down, getting chipped out, it's going to be difficult for him because he's so far away from being able to get towards something like a BT to be able to answer this. You know, your economy has been pushed way back. Of course, that kill he gets on the bot side does help him, but it'll be really heavily down to execution. And T1 have great engage as well.
ボットレはかなり有利作りましたよ。
The carry ultimates.
Ash arrow narrowly dodged away from there. Calm, cool, collected, Pong.
アッシュは今日言ってますね。これダスクブレードアクションもアークなのかな。いやアンブラルか。アンブラルですね。さすがにフル上位アッシュはないか。
not making the same mechanical missteps that they did in game 1.
What is really important, though, is for LNG to try and hold on to these turrets. As long as that outer ring of turrets remains standing, T1 can't really fully take control, especially once Keria finishes his Umbral. If you start dropping turrets, and I think the second hero actually going to be pretty hotly contested for this reason, it becomes a lot harder to actually keep control, and I do think the single target lockdown on T1 can be really tough.
Take a look at the match card lane economy snapshot. It's all over the place. But at least there's no one with a crazy massive gold team like there was in the previous game.
This is a very, very even game number 2. It's going to
上
be
位アイテム
such
周り
an
はちょっ
exciting
と
one.
ライオット
A
が
lot of pressure, I feel
調
like,
整
on
苦しんでる
LNG
感じあり
after
ます
that
ね
first game. If you drop the second one in a close
ダスク
one,
ブレードが強い
it
と
becomes
ヨウム
incredibly
誰もつかな
difficult
くなっ
because
て
then you're faced with match point
逆
from
にヨウムが
T1.
バスされると
T1
ダスクブレード誰も積まなくなって
wanting to be able to keep the pressure on.
これの繰り
Going
返
with
しですよ
such different bot lane strategies. We've seen it move more heavily towards these enchanter lanes, but Keria back-to-back games playing double marksman bot lane down here, and thus far looking incredibly good.
T1
いやこのミッドレーン守れません3人でプレッシャーかけます そろそろドラゴンが湧きますよ
mid-tier 1 tower. And I gotta say, I agree. It feels like T1 have identified Gala as a big threat, have drafted in a way that stops him from being relevant for so much of the early game, allowing a lot of their other players to really shine.
It's also something that we've seen in the tournament meta, right? And it's been one of the big reasons why we saw BLG, for example, be really successful, why Weibo was able to get such big leads consistently. It's this bot side counter picks as Zeus goes in on Tarzan.
Tarzan.
サイト始まってしまった
Lower and lower. We're gonna try to burn through.
エイトロックス死ぬ前にフラッシュでリアッチしたけど人数差あります
A little bit of follow-up damage. Zeus coming back in for the extra healing. Double TP now going in. Faker is there. Lockdown come in and Zeus gonna try to find one. Faker is towing away the ultimate. That's the needle work coming out. LNG pushed back by the side of T1. Faker stolen Maokai ultimate will
奪った
connect,
マオカイ
but
のウ
no
ルトを打っ
further
ていく
fight breaks out.
But look at the health. Tarzan is incredibly low.
Keria stepping a little bit too far here, but still has the
お
flash.
フラッシュ切らない
Holds on to it, won't even use it.
Gonna be the heal
死
invested
なないという
instead.
判
T1
断
still gonna start this up.
毒がフラッシュ
Zeus
切っ
does
て
have
ました
TP available, and it looks like Soul Point 17, not even 70 minutes in, is gonna go to T1.
Yeah, the initial play looked like it was going LNG's way, but with
Yeah,
the first
この
TP
ドラ
coming
ゴンを
through, Tarzan
T1
had to retreat. They couldn't chase in and try to finish off Zeus. And it did mean that despite the trades back and forth of these summoner spells, of these cooldowns, it was Tarzan incredibly low with no flash. You can't walk in as 20% HP Maokai and try to contest this dragon. So T1,
僕なら
as you
ジェイス
say,
出てきたの
on
見
soul
て
point, and
もう
maybe
ビビ
it's
って
not the
切ります
exact one that they do want, but still,
やべ
a soul is a soul, and flat move speed is always valuable.
Downtown arrow.
最
Might
強
be
ス
enough
キ
to
ル
get
来た
Faker in here, Scout.
あれ思ったより
Good
感
enough
じが
safety just in
長くな
time.
かったな
Quite enough duration on that one.
Thank you, Merc Treads.
行動妨害体
Honestly,
制
a
入って
crucial
そうだった
purchase
けど
against a team with this much upfront
Jason.
CC, with this much engaged potential.
あ
Not
マー
quite
キュリ
getting
ーか
connected on the Faker there. Second Herald stolen
ありがとう
away.
ございます
Constantly talk about how important that one could be. T1 were able to break tier 1 mid without its health, but maybe
マーキュリー
LNG
大き
can
い
use it to fire back.
It's a really good counterpunch from LNG because it means that you can probably hold on to both of your outer turrets for a lot longer.
今回の
And
マオ
T1
カイはア
also
フター
possibly
ショ
could
ッ
have
ク
leveraged the pressure that the Herald provides
After
into
shock.
them an advantage in the
珍しい
eventual
な
soul fight in about
フ
4
ェーズダッシュ
minutes
と
time.
かファーストス
And
トライ
we
ク
do
は
see
たくさん見
T1
ますけど
continuously
アフ
looking
ターショッ
aggressive,
ク
but
はな
right
か
now
な
there's
か
no real objective on the map, right? So they can
なかなか
either
珍
try
しい
and go and play aggressively towards these sides, send multiple people there and look for a dive opportunity, or try and find individual picks and set up for the dragon when it does come up.
And I mean, you could see how much of an emphasis there was towards the dragon. You know, just look
わ
towards the
あ
bot
こ
side.
のレル
All
の
of
ス
vision
マイト
there.
バ
Now
トル
they're
の
getting
強さ
vision
で
in
すよ
around that top side as well.
なかなか勝てるチャンピオンいないぞ
T1 constantly pushing forward, utilizing hawkshot,
チュ
utilizing
の
all
ダメー
these
ジ
check
が大
crushes,
きすぎて
moving around with owner, establishing
スマイトと
forward
同時
vision
にチュ
control
を
here
育てて
to try to kind of
全
move
部
up
取れ
that
る
line and even open up opportunities like this where Faker's pushing in top, owner and Keria are going to cover him, and it's likely going to be a tier 1 tower unless LNG are really willing to fight for it.
For LNG though, I do think looking at the gold and the item breakpoints that have been hit, they can also just decide to give up control of the area for now. As long as you don't give over the dragon, I do think that you're going to reach the 2 item breakpoints. We're seeing that Gala's getting close.
あーバースト
Same for
ダメージ
Zika.
対策
And
と
from
いう
that
こと
point
ですか
on, one fight can be enough, and I do still think that that is where
確か
LNG, if they can actually get that front to back, could look for a turnaround.
I think they can, but I'm really
あでも
concerned
ア
for
フタ
their
ーショッ
ability
ク
to T1 is first one to that objective. I think we're going to see T1
結
committing
構
cooldowns
難しいと
really
思います
aggressively
ね。
just
マ
to
オ
get
カイ
chunks
ウルト
down
で
on
アフターショ
LNG.
ック出
We're
ちゃう
gonna
か
see
ら、
stolen Maokai
なん
ultimate
か
come out
使
right
う
away.
タイミン
We're
グ
gonna
選
see
ぶの
the
が
ultimates coming out from Carrier and
難しそう
Guma.
だなと
Everyone just committing these resources early in a fight to try to
思
chunk
っておりま
LNG
す。
down to a point where they can't
クー
get
ルダウン
that
長い
100 to
ですから
0
ね、ア
fight
フターショッ
because
ク。
that is what they're looking for. They're looking for that fight to start and they just overwhelm their opponents with the engage. But if T1 has you down to half health to 30% health before it even starts, you
まあま
can't
あ
really engage. You can't look
はい
for it.
ダブルで入っていったらアフターショック絶対出てくれるけど、出てくれて困ることないけど、マオカイウルトでアフターショック出ちゃうのが
especially for LNG support. Hung, this guy has to be the big playmaker. The Rakan is the one piece
運用
of
が難
reliable
しそうだな
proactive
と思っておりま
engage
す。
your team
なので
has.
フェイズラッシュとファーストストライクは
Kind of the glass cannon the T1 are bringing to the table.
確かに
But this is a guy who struggled last game on Blitzcrank. This
い
is
い
a
なと思っ
lot
て
to
たんですけど、
ask
キャ
for
ッ
a
チ
player
対
when
策、
you're already
キャ
a
ッチ
single
され
game
た時
deficit and he
に
had such
中
a
でア
rough
フター
game
ショック
one.
発動
It's
して
also the reason
逃げる
why
ということ
these
ですか。
silos was
あ
actually
あ
getting banned a lot. You saw BLG do it very consistently. Because I do think
確
that
かに
Maokai loses so
確かに
much of
確
his
かに
power when the opponent can just answer, right? I think Maokai ultimate
This is
is
a better
one.
Maokai
It's
ult.
yeah, it literally is. But not only is it a better version of your ult, it also takes away so much of what I think makes the champion so oppressive. Allows you to set up shop, and your opponents, particularly with champions like the Jays, try to walk up. They just get blown up before they can even get to the objective.
I like the timing of this attempt here from Carrier. So he shoots out the ultimate, and it's at a time where if you force the cleanse will not be back for
確
this
かに
dragon fight.
がっつり当たるのは
Maybe gonna commit to this. I don't think so. So they do get that flash,
LNG
but
強そうですけど、
you know, your ultimate will
キ
be
ャッ
back
チ
up as
バル
Carrier.
スとか
Unfortunately,
アッシュ
now
のウ
he's
ル
gonna
トで
miss
キャッ
those
チする
summers,
の
so
は
he's gonna be very vulnerable to
T1 側
Hong
が
in
す
this
ごい
next
強
fight.
そうで
But
す
of
ね。
course, the primary target is gonna be Guma. They really have to get towards him and try to take him out. You can see second items coming through for a lot of people. Scout almost has that tier fully stacked up.
5
Zik has
対
done
5
his
ちゃん
second
と
item.
当た
It's
った
been a
ら
very slow-paced game in the second game.
What we are seeing here
LNG
is that
すごい強そうですよ。
LNG again identified that T1 doesn't need to go for this dragon. This is just an individual Drake for them. Obviously, if they get it, they get soul. But LNG try to set up as much vision as they can to sniff out a Baron in case T1 do not opt into a contest at all. And particularly with the vision that they've been able
確かに
to set
アフ
up,
ター
if
ショッ
you
クの
take a
力
look,
か。
one
そう
ward
だ。
on the top half of the map, and then these wards here, they should have a pretty good idea of where T1 is going to go, as it is about 20 seconds until that possible soul spawns.
Umbroglaive spotting out that bit of vision, but they'll still get the information that they need. His second herald is
いや
utilized
今
mid
エン
lane.
ゲージサポートタンクジャングルはみんな
Is it gonna get the charge?
レディアントバーチですね。
The Matador in the
あ
eyes of the bull.
ヘラルドが
On that one, Faker off to the side, Hung now
LNG
caught out. Arrow is
強心
gonna
のヘラルド
connect
が
onto a priority target. LNG, will they look for the re-engage? No, just opting to back out. Know that this is not their window to fight.
But again, this is what I expected from T1. Push in, utilize those ultimates
いや
early,
悲
try
しい
to
で
use
すね
that
ヘラル
to
ド
take
消される
position
の。
to try to get those chunks.
ヘラルド君タックル
LNG though
完
have
了
a
するま
pretty
で
good
無敵。
position here themselves with Zika on
無
the
敵になる
side.
のどうですか。
Tarzan will try to retake some of
苦
this
労して
vision.
取ったのに
And LNG are
何
gonna
の
try to
成
get
果
the
も得ら
scuttle
れ
and
な
see
い
if
のは
they
ちょ
can
っと
find
悲
a
し
better
いです
angle
よ。
for the engage.
Scuttle down, Gala great guns for a fight. In terms of sustained DPS, he absolutely outclasses
せめ
Guma.
てタックル1
If
回
it
分
just
だ
comes
け
down
で
to
も
a poke battle, he will not come out on top. LNG forcing the issue.
Hong doesn't have a good angle to engage at all, though. Like, look where he's playing. He's almost like trying to mark Zeus, but he needs to get the back line. They're gonna go.
Flash in, Owner Gala manages to make it out safety, isolated for
お
now.
ーレルが3人タンクしてる。ラバンが入っていくけどレルがタンクしてるからダメージ出しに行けません。あいやー
And even with Gala
オーナ
surviving,
ーさん
the
仕
honor
事して
front
くれま
is
した
won
わ。
by
これは
T1. They're able to break up that core unit for LNG. There's not enough damage available, and that's going to be soul for T1.
Zeus got so much done there
いや
for
これ
T1.
ラカン
The 0-0-0
ラカンとマオカイ
Making
が入ってい
all
った
the
けど
difference as he comes over the side there, gets right into both
レル
the
が
carries from LNG.
敵の後衛止めてたから
They had to run from him. And I'm kind of surprised
一人で
because they
3
were
人止めて
aware
た
that
ぞ。
Zeus was playing in this angle, but then they just lost track of him as Owner comes in and look at the angle from Zeus right over the wall, catches both Scout and Gala,
い
pushing
や
them
これ
back.
レルのおかげ
And
で
meanwhile,
アフロス
on the
何
other
もで
side,
きず
it's Zika losing out, it's Hong losing out as Carrier,
ゼウス
Guma
さん
and Faker will easily win that
ジ
3v2.
ェイス
And
ノー
the
フラッ
threat
シュ
of this full lethality Aatrox, together with Owner, ends up turning it into a 2v4, which they
いや
win,
素晴らしい
even
で
though
す
Owner
ね
ends
レ
up
ル
going down. And then, as you
あい
said, on the
Aatrox もやりやすそうにしてましたよ。
Zika gets taken down. Hung tries to help him, isn't actually able to get enough done as the arrow
この人たちはリーグオブレジェンズというゲームにおいて神に等しい存在。エイトロックスさん、攻撃スキルが2しかないとかいう名目で2にとんでもないパワーついてますけれども、クールダウン短いんですよ、エイトロックスの2。打ち終わって2秒経ったらまた打てる。
Charizard did get blue. So that's a win.
You take what you can get.
Step one on the journey to winning the game is the blue. It's been brutal. I was ready for this to be much closer, but to be honest, T1, the way that they've been counterpicking bot lane, not overplaying their hand,
エイトロックスリワーク当初はハード CC3 個も打てるの強すぎじゃないかと思ったけど、ちょっと強すぎましたね。
blind pick Aatrox top lane. This champion is becoming a problem for LNG.
And it's also with a different build than what we've seen the Aatrox beat the
重
strongest
賞
with, which I think
は
is really funny. It's similar
誰
to
も
what we've seen
変え
with
てません
Kaisas.
か？
Zika tries to contest Vision.
変えてません。
Leveraging the Shroud to try to contest here. Gala with the Infernum ultimate, it can always be a threat, but again, T1 just taking their time.
重賞
I
権
think this build from Zeus
弱いんですよね。ちょっと
represents him as a player. It's risk versus reward,
ちょっと
right?
弱い。
This is something that he is just so confident in his ability to execute on a build
誰
like
も
this.
購入
Almost
したく
everyone
ない
plays
顔
Gore
して
Drinker
る。
because it's more stable, it's more secure. You go Gore Drinker, you go Sterix, you get in the middle of the fight, and at the very least, you're going to take up a lot of damage. This one is the 1v9 or the all your team reports to you. It's like you are squishy and you've got to execute perfectly, and so far he's been able to.
And it's T1 that has control of the river and that
これ
allows
は
Zeus to just
この
continuously
ロ
push.
ブ e スポー
Because
ツの
LNG
配
can't
信ではたま
actually
に起こり
threaten
ま
the
す。
Baron here, so they
ちょこ
can't
ちょこ
really force out a
一瞬止まっ
response
て
from
2
the
秒
Aatrox
更
there.
新
Now
っていうの
T1
は
had started up themselves.
定期的に起
And
こ
this
って
is a
ますね。
chokehold on the game that T1 have established themselves. The only saving grace for LNG right now is they have the Maokai. They have the luxury of the Saplings to face check some of this vision for them. But the real winner here is not T1's control around the
相手の
Baron.
ジャング
It's
ルの
Zeus.
鶏
This
肉を
man
食べ
just
ていく。
eating CS, eating creeps everywhere on the map, becoming gigantic, while T1 just stall LNG out because they know they have to be in the area.
And it feels like T1, based on their play, based on their fact that they haven't been starting up this Baron, they just want to play for Elder, I think. At this point, you're delaying this long after you took the solo
鳥さん、諦め
already,
ました
after
ね。
you already have that advantage. They just want to play around that lower damage
あそこ諦
objective.
めら
That's
れる
not
の
gonna be
偉いですね。
risky to
僕だったら
start up.
悔
Baron
しくて
obviously has a lot
食べ
of
に行ってま
inherent
すよ。
risk against a team like this that has that hard engage. So
悔しい気持ちを抑えられるのもプロ。
limiting the options and taking only the fights when it really does favor them.
297、27分で。ADC より取ってるぞ。
It's slow, it's deliberate, it's controlled. And again, you know, in game one, a little bit more explosive when
味
they have
方
the
のジャ
Nila
ング
on
ル
the
全部食べて
composition.
ます。今303になった CS が。
The fact that there's only one death between them on such vulnerable champions is fantastic.
これ
sign of
CS
T1's
食べ
success.
すぎて
And I
賞
think
金
it's
ついて
really
ますね。
interesting because, you know, when you look just at the scoreboard, it doesn't seem as bad. But
CS
this
だけ
game
で
has felt
400 ゴール
incredibly
ドついてる。
one-sided because it's been T1 dictating where all the action is. It's been T1 pushing in the waves, controlling the vision. And it
さすがに
always
この
feels
シ
like
ステ
the
ム
ball
欠
is
陥
in
がある。
their court, so to speak, which
こ
I
の賞
think
金シ
is
ステム
really
は
what's
欠
making
陥
it
がある。
feel like it's so one-sided.
Arrow coming in.
お、アッシュのウルト。
Through the
惜し
goalpost.
い。
Stolen Maokai ultimate now used. Potentially a window of opportunity
本当だ。
here for the side
CS
of
パワー
T1.
で稼いだお金でセリフが購入です。
A lot of resources committed. Gwen still on the bottom side of the map. Zika does have TP up and available. Tarzan getting chunked.
マオカイ
And LNG
硬い
not
ですよ
really able to get
バルス
anything
も
just
ノ
to
ーブ
trade
と
with Maokai ultimate.
And that's a
サイ
really
ラス
big
の
win
マオ
here
カイウ
for
ルトも消
T1.
え
Not
た。
having the Maokai ult available makes
Baker.
contesting the Baron way harder.
CS たくさん食べたら、あなた罪がありますって言って賞金つくのはちょっとシステムとしておかしいと思います。
dismount to create some extra space so no one can follow up there from Tarzan. And now if it does come down to an objective flip, Tarzan not only doesn't have the ulti, but he's chunked and he has no flash. There's almost no way for him to approach and try to steal.
Saving grace here is that they do have the scuttle, so T1
これ
can't start up the
400 ゴ
Baron
ール
without
ドの
knowledge
賞
of
金が
LNG.
つくほ
You
ど
know
グ
the
ウェ
Fake
ン
is
相手
about
に
to
CS
hit.
取れてるわけじゃないの
His
で。
death gap is about 500 gold away, and that is going to be such
これ
an
エイトロック
immense
スに
power
賞金つい
spike,
てグウェンに
which
ついてない
I
の
don't
は
think they'll be able to get it before
納
the
得いかない。
Elder. But if they can stall that a little bit and play with that, I think it becomes really hard for LNG to win a fight.
I don't think that crab is going to
いや
save a lot
エイ
of
トロッ
grace
クス
for
ダ
much
メージ
longer.
出ますよこれ
You're
は。
right, there's death cap coming. There's Elder
セ
in
レルが
30
でき
seconds
てる
that
から
T1 can now
CC
set
も
up for
強
because
い。
again they have permanent mid priority with this lethality Varus. LNG are going to do what they can just to set up defensive vision, just to make sure that their jungle is safe. Already burning 2 wards. just to be able to walk in. They're going to fight for bot lane control, to have an angle, to walk into the river. But T1 already total control around the objective.
I just love the observers highlighting this. They can't see anything. They don't know where anyone is. So LNG have to fight through bot.
いやー LNG 視点視界が森が暗いですよ。
If you can win this fight, that is the one risk with this strategy that T1 are going for, where they're
エル
playing
ダー
so
ファイトです
conservative, where they don't set up the Baron. Because if you lose this flip, if
これ
somehow
T1 フ
LNG
ァイ
get
トしたくない
that
な
elder, the game can get turned around.
Definitely. LNG pushing in, fighting with the bot prior that they built for themselves. Need to be careful.
ファイトしたくないというよりはエルダーバトルしたくないな。
Yeah, just baiting, buying time.
ファイトして
Already using the hourglass. Now trying to back away.
敵の人数減らして安全にエルダーやりたいですよ。
Is this the window of opportunity where T1 want to start it? No, they're just trying to play for more cooldowns. Just build up these small incremental advantages.
Also, Zeus is looking for a back. Not gonna get it though, and we do see the poke from Scout not landing right now. But Gala does have both his summoners available and is
いや
very
では
healthy.
グエンが
Sitting
トッ
on
プを
3
押し込み
items,
ま
did
すね。
finish his Lord
エ
Dom
イトロッ
just
クス
now.
がそれを押し返さないといけない。
So he's really strong. Last was
ちょっ
for
と
in
敵
for
の方が
Scout as
よりが
well.
早いですよ
LNG are trying to
今
force
この
this
瞬
response
間
through
は
bot, trying to keep Zeus around and keep this opportunity for a multi-prong attack, but it's T1 who looks like they want to preempt the play.
Owner now
バト
stepping
ル開始す
in,
るのか
getting forced backwards.
やれるの体力削られました。
Able to secure the blue buff there. Owner using one of the
バー
sniper
バー太ったのは
charges to get it.
T1。
Gala trying to force the issue, force
エ
the
ルダー
fight
触り
here.
ますね LNG。
T1 has to be careful about grouping for the Infernum ultimate.
Owner a little bit chunked here, and Hong's looking for that angle. They're going to try to pinch Zeus.
いやエイトロックスがずっと裏カットグエン2対1してま
Both
す。
sides backing away. It's just a battle of poke. Both sides hoping to bait the other one into pressing the trigger. The charm
Oh.
now coming through. Will it be enough to lock down Zeus? No.
エイ
It's
トロ
the
ックスに
answer.
全力使いましたラカン。フラッシュもウルトがなくなった。
Tribute, and now Gala's in trouble. T1
ジェイス死亡。
They see the window of opportunity.
アフロス死亡。
Twisted the armor of
あいや
and they tear it asunder. There is no room left in the fight. T1 will take everything they want in this game too. Hung, a last desperate effort, but the TP's coming mid. Means
パン
that's
チと
gonna be game.
パンチと。
Go for the ends. T1 put LNG in a lose-lose
い
position.
や LNG 追い詰められてます。
For this
何もできない。0-5。
just too much power to
エー
give
ス
over.
そしてミッドレーンを押し込めてたのでこのまま GG ですよ。
And the fervor of the fans in Busan will not force T1 to play over-aggressive.
いや
They keep their discipline, they remain composed, they close out cleanly versus LNG in
T1
game
強
2
え。
and bring us to
パン
match
チ
point,
と
a
パン
semifinal
チと
spot on the
パン
line.
チと。いや強すぎる T1。強すぎる。
What a performance from T1
何もさせてません
thus
この
far.
2試合。
Dominance in game 1. And for game 2, the word that comes to mind is control. Absolute control, start to finish. It never seemed like LNG were the ones